Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have quite a few different things we're going to cover and talk about over here when it comes to, number one, just kind of the state of everything right after all these really big conferences. Number two, the fact of that there actually might be a lot more hidden things on the way. Number three, the games are actually taking a lot longer than people are expecting. And a few other little various kind of bits and pieces of news going out when it comes to games, some drama, some PlayStation 5 exclusive stuff, and everything else in between. So if you guys will sit back, relax, and enjoy, and as well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch link down below. We have the Amazon links too as well, and of course we're gonna maybe go take a nice little mini break off of YouTube for maybe like 1 or 2 days in the near future. Just be on the lookout for that one to kind of get a bunch of kind of stuff all put together and kind of make some good steps. So we could actually make a little bit better videos, so be on the lookout for that. In case you guys are a little bit curious on why uploads might be a little bit more sporadic throughout the next few days or week or so, whatever, as we kind of finalize that on up. So let's go down to some kind of number one bigger news. So very first and foremost, it's some pretty intriguing news when it came to Phil Spencer kind of talking to the public and talking to people in general when they were discussing up the fact of how well the future of games might be developed, how they're trying to go get 4 different games at once per year being developed as well, and how a lot of these games are now once again taking a lot longer to be made. Now, it's a little bit of a disappointing news, I think, in theory, but as well as also the normalization when it comes to, well, game companies and everything else, that games just take a lot of time, money, and effort to go and actually be made as of now. When in comparison, we used to have games maybe for even like a 2-year life cycle, or maybe think like old school N64 games, where they were a lot easier to code and technology advances were big enough to actually justify making like a brand new game now. There's a lot more bigger differences when it comes to that. So one kind of big thing to note is that one, both Xbox and PlayStation, most likely Nintendo as well, are realizing that games are taking way longer, are way more expensive, the quality expectations are way higher, and that also kind of leads to a fact of a lot more gamers kind of wondering why games are taking so long, but as well, why are they sometimes so bad when it comes to them kind of, not taking as long as well? So basically right now they're kind of projecting that singular projects could take up to 6 years now. Now we've kind of known this a little bit because right now there probably are games that are in theory maybe being started to be made for the PlayStation 6 or the next iteration of Xbox, or as well maybe for the PlayStation 5 Pro, depending on how long, it kind of takes for life cycles or how long a PlayStation 6 might come out. But right now, and even right in general, there's games that are probably not even announced or even discussed or even leaked as of this second that have been pretty long into their life cycles. Don't forget the PlayStation 5 just came out only a few years ago, so if you had a game that started right when the PS5 came out, for the PS5 specifically, they're most likely going to be taking kind of a long time to go make that happen. So if you've been wondering why the likes of, like, say, a Naughty Dog or Sucker Punch are up to, then here's a worrying observation from Microsoft's Matt Booty. Basically saying that tentpole titles may take up to 4 to 6 years to develop on new gen consoles, which once again, I think that's okay. From like the very start to the very finish, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think if it's going to be a good game with a lot of graphics, a lot of assets, marketing, voice acting, like the actual, like you want to make the game good, it's a long multi-hour game, it's going to take a long time to go make it. It's going to take a lot of effort. So basically from this one, I'm cool with that. So basically for this one, as opposed to these 2 or 3 years that were commonly previously available. And now I'm one of those people too, as well as that, yeah, a game could maybe take 3 years, but if the game is a game that was made in 3 years, but it's mediocre, what's the actual point? Like, I'm not really a big fan of it. I'm not really a big fan of the vibe of it. So for me, I'm like, well, let me just go and have a better game that will take longer to make, and I'm okay with that trade-off. But I kind of want to hear your thoughts and comments on that down below, because at the end of the day, that's what I want. Like, I want a game that is good. And right now, there's bajillions of games that are being simultaneously made right this second. Xbox, like I said on prior videos and these current leaks, they want to have at least 4 different games a year. So if you want to make that, you almost have to have that being perpetually being scheduled and interlocked as time goes on, because you want these games to be good. You want them to be, well, if they're going to take 6 years, right now at this point, there's probably at least another 30 really big AAA games from Sony or from Xbox or even Nintendo that are being worked on simultaneously before they're even announced or talked about. And now this might be kind of bad news in theory because, well, the gaming industry is taking longer, these games are costing more, but I also got like the reverse where these games are better quality games. And when we play them, it's like an experience that I will enjoy and remember. Good examples like I don't know, maybe a God of War Ragnarok. Like, I will remember that gaming experience because those are a really good game. At least in my opinion. So they're going to say, while the executive was understandably referring to the Xbox's own pipeline, a lot of folks are kind of pushing this towards any AAA game, so PlayStation or Xbox, because it's going to be a big third-party game, like an Assassin's Creed game. It takes a long time to make, or a game like an upcoming, like next Horizon sequel, whatever. It's going to take a long time. Next Halo, it's going to take a long time. They say, I think that the industry and fans were a little behind on the curve on sort of a reset to understand that games aren't 2 or 3 years anymore, he told the Axios newsletter, adding that major AAA AAA projects will now take anywhere from 4 to 6 years to create, there are higher expectations. The level of fidelity that we're able to deliver just goes up. Of course, this doesn't mean all games will take that long to create, and Booty even acknowledged that smaller projects from efficient indies teams can be built up in a year or less, but these comments do perhaps offer some perspective on why Sony's first-party lineup is looking so light right now. Major titles are taking longer to develop than ever before. It'll be interesting to see how the Japanese giant navigates these issues and how they intend to pad out its schedule and fill in the gaps. So it's kind of also on the same critique when it comes to all these big gaming conferences, where it's like, where are these new games? Where are these individual IPs? What is everything going on here? And it kind of goes and stems to, once again, that, well, when it comes to games like PlayStation, we only have basically Final Fantasy 16, which is third party. I can't wait to play. We'll talk about that in a second. And Spider-Man throughout the rest of this year. Now, there's probably multiple different games on the way, but if all these games and their big, heavy studios, like, say, like The Last of Us, we're probably not going to see a Last of Us game for quite some time. The next Horizon has probably been quite a bit of time, too, as well, especially because they made a VR game and now a proper game. Same with Xbox, too. They haven't really had any good first-party titles besides maybe rumored Fable and also all the Forza games, so we don't really necessarily know. But it does go to show that these games are taking longer, yes, but they are usually hopefully better besides, like, say, a Redfall, which was awful at the end of the day. So it's kind of like a weird news where it's like kind of bad news because gamers aren't used to this. Gamers aren't used to maybe having like bigger lulls of like a 6 or like even a year-long period of bigger games. Think Xbox, they had that one whole full pretty much year of no major AAA game exclusives being released. But that's because they just take so long. It takes a lot of planning, a lot of money, and if they don't have the properly allocated resources or something like COVID goes and messes up all the production cycles, it does make things a lot harder for them to basically go and visualize and honestly make happen. And like it might even be feasible at that same point, or as well the game might just be mediocre from lack of good management or oversight, etc. So it's kind of an intriguing thing nonetheless. So I kind of want to hear your thoughts. I'm one of those people, I think I'm okay with games taking longer to be made, as long as they also maybe focus on indie games and push on new IPs, or maybe make games that take like 2 years to make that are good, and not like these huge, crazy, like cinematic masterpieces, like say like an Uncharted, or like, you know, I don't know, any other big type of style game. I'd rather go and have a game that's maybe a little bit smaller, but good and clean and tight, you know, at least in my opinion. So give me your thoughts and comments on this one. I think a lot of folks might be critiquing on this. Now, I want to go talk about the Final Fantasy 16 demo. If you guys missed it, this came out yesterday. I played this on my Twitch. If you guys are bored, I'll be probably hanging out and streaming up on Twitch itself. The game was dope. Like, I gotta be honest with you guys, I've been really, really a big fanboy for Final Fantasy 16. I am so utterly, absolutely excited for this game. It was phenomenal. Graphics were good. Story was good. Also, the carryover progress does carry over from the demo itself, and everything was clean. Animations were clean. Story was clean. There was a little bit of a frame drop issue I will go and attest, but I'm very excited for it. If you guys want to go and download it, go and do it. It was like 18 gigs or so. Very, very good game. We also have a brand new kind of little bit of drama coming out here for Avatar, or apparently Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, the new Ubisoft release from the nice little conferences, apparently does get a free DLC on PS5 at launch, but apparently it's not actually going to be free on Xbox or PC. So PlayStation, once again, gets a pretty good, nice little nifty deal. PS5 owners apparently get it for free, and everyone else has to go and pay. So I'm not sure how that proper little business connection worked, but it did happen. Well, basically, Avatar Frontiers and Pandora will have a free DLC on PlayStation at launch. As part of the Ubisoft Forward event, the company announced that Arani Warrior Pack, it'll be free on the PS5 and cost money for everyone else. Now, I'm indifferent. I'm not really a big fan of DLC cosmetics or all this type of stuff. I don't really necessarily mind or care that much in general. I think it's kind of cool. It could be cool. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm kind of like, whatever. Like, I don't really necessarily mind. So when I go and look at this type of stuff, like, it's like, yeah, it's good for PS5 owners. I think it's nice. If you guys have a PS5, it's kind of cool. But this is not really a big make or break. It's a little bit cosmetic thing. I'm kind of indifferent. So the bundle does include cosmetics inspired by the Arani, who are a group of the Peaceful Weavers and live in the Kingler's Forest too as well. PS5 owners don't have to do anything for the DLC, but some folks have been a little bit on the upset side. Obviously, you have the usual back and forth between Xbox and PlayStation itself going on for there. So people on Xbox and PC can buy the content for a fee, but Ubisoft did not announce the price. This is for the upcoming game on December 7th on PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC too as well. So it's kind of where that PlayStation get a little bit of a freebie. I mean, it's whatever at the end of the day, but I don't know why they just wouldn't throw that out for everyone who maybe pre-orders, pre-downloads, I don't know. As well, if you guys are kind of curious, Phasmophobia, a really cool game I played up on PC, will be coming to PS5 and PSVR 2 in August as well. well. So if you guys want to check out some nice little spoopy games, but also might be coming out here too as well for other Xbox stuff too as well. So in case you guys are curious on all of that. So very, very intriguing for all this type of good stuff too in general. And I want to hear your thoughts and comments on more of like the game development drama, because I don't think it's that bad if we have to wait for a good game, but at the same time, we need to keep on making sure there's actual games people want to play so people don't get bored in these weird gaming lulls. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below if you guys want to follow. We'll probably live up on Twitch if you guys are bored right now. Amazon links too, and I appreciate y'all so much for watching in the first place.